Hello and welcome once again to another board meeting video recap. This time for the month of September. I'm joined here with Superintendent Mary Elizabeth Davis. Hello.
Hello, thanks for having me.
And I'm J.D. Harden, Executive Director of Communications and Public Relations. We're glad to have you with us once again as we get to recap all the things that took place during the month of September and actions by our board during their two meetings, the study session and the business session. We had jam-packed sessions in both of those meetings, and we rolled right into the first meeting and reviewing our financial reports, and then of course we also have our construction reports that are always key fixtures during those meetings. Just give our board an update on the things that are taking place all across our districts financially and from a construction standpoint. But then we also had the opportunity to hear a little bit of an update, a progress report on our strategic plan development. Right. And would you like to share a little bit about the progress that's been made to this point?
Absolutely. So we've talked about the expectation our Board of Education has for a long-range strategic plan to now be developed. That is the work of this fall headed into the spring. And in our conversation at our board meeting, it was an opportunity to keep the public informed on our progress, but also set the stage for tremendous community involvement as we head into the coming months. Some of our board members had the opportunity to share their perspectives and really drive their expectations for this process. Let's take a listen.
Range a strategic planning process. This afternoon, I would like to share with you that in accordance to your purchasing policy, DJE, we are in the process of interviewing 3 finalists or 3 strategic partners to discuss the scope of work and their abilities to assist in facilitating this process. This work is scheduled to begin in the fall and should conclude around the spring, which is approximately 6 months.
This is such an exciting time to move forward as an organization. I really, truly think the sky is the limit for what we can do here in Henry. So thank you for laying this out for us and getting everybody on board and excited to move forward. And I am really glad that we're placing such an emphasis on the stakeholders' opinion and, giving them a lot of ownership of this because they're the ones we're doing this for and we couldn't do it without them. So thank you.
The board really articulated some of the key components of a process for the strategic plan. At that time, the board discussed what the appropriate timetable for this should be, and we ranged from 6 weeks to a year. So I just want to point that we have compromised on that at about a 6-month process. And it was clear that the board had consensus around the role stakeholder participation and voice should play in articulating our vision for the future, and the board will be provided monthly updates so that you are engaged in this process along the way as well.
So moving from there on to the next topic for our board meeting, the study session, was a process. It revolved around a process that started about a year ago, and that was a comprehensive board policy review process. Since that time, our board has really developed and adopted 25 either new policies or changes to existing policies to update the policies that govern our school system. And there's a lot more work to be done. There's 177 policies that currently govern our district, and that's one of the major responsibilities of our board, is that not?
That's right. So the key responsibility of ensuring stability and long-term reliability of a school system is through policy. And our Board of Education has taken that role seriously, and in the coming months we'll partner with the Georgia School Boards Association for a comprehensive review to ensure alignment to state law, State Board of Education regulations, as well as drive the values and priorities of this community through policy to ensure that we have exceptional education from classroom to classroom and from school to school throughout the district. This is great work, and really it's just getting started, and we'll keep the community updated along the way.
And we have 2 different policies that really govern our district. Is that correct?
That's right. We've really emphasized that there are operational policies. It is the processes and procedures that ensure reliable systems in the organization. It's how we do the business. But there are also reform policies. And our board has taken quite seriously their responsibility to ensure that students are learning at high levels through what would be called reform policies. Last year, the board's plan of action and the board's policy on grading and the board's policy on instructional resources all reflect the board designing and producing reform policies. As we head into this year, we'll be looking at graduation And we'll be looking at the promotion and retention policy. Additionally, our board is very interested in looking at a digital citizenship policy. Those would be reform policies that are on the horizon.
So transitioning from that, we had probably our largest presentation of the evening, and that was about the school climate results that were reflective of the 2018-2019 school year. Now, several different groups, stakeholder groups, are responsible for completing these surveys that really give us detailed feedback on just the overall, what it says, climate of the school. And climate can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people, but really there were 4 key parts that we honed in on as a district to really measure what that looked like for our school system.
Yeah, I think this is actually a pretty important topic. First of all, we know that student success academically does start with the conditions and the environment in which students learn. We also know that's true for the experience families have interacting with our schools and the experience that our employees have as a part of our great team. So this Board of Education has expressed quite seriously our responsibility to cater to and to really drive improvements of school climate. But how do you do that without looking at some metrics? So we started by taking a look at last year's survey results from students, from families, and from personnel. And we actually took all of that and categorized it into 4 key themes. That first theme is student achievement and belief. What questions throughout those surveys link to student achievement and belief? That second theme was safety and security and supportive learning environments. And what are the questions that reveal perceptions around a supportive learning environment? There is a theme of connectivity. Do students feel like there is an adult reliable for them at their school? And do families and personnel feel that way as well? And then the final theme was relationships and respect. And what questions from those surveys actually drive some metrics to gauge how well we are doing as an organization to be consciously developing strong relationships and respect. I thought it was a great conversation. I think the board actually had a lot to say about it.
Let's take a listen.
Now, I want to go back to our core belief and commitment number 3. Board, because you believe positive and healthy school climates and student connectivity are the foundation of high-quality learning environments and create the conditions for effective teaching and learning to occur, you felt it was important to have the core belief and commitment number 3. I want you to know that we realize that we have to look at this and develop a systematic approach. So last year was our baseline year for gathering the data, and this year will be our evaluation year.
And I'm just so amazed and thankful for all the programs that we have to help our students, because we all know it's not just about academics. There's so much more that goes into the success of our students, and I'm so thankful for the hard work that goes on to help our students be successful in every way. I also wanted to just kind of highlight for just a minute the safe learning environments that you touched on briefly. And I would love to start discussions with our board about how we can be proactive about the vaping that's going on in our schools. That's a big concern of mine right now. I'm hearing lots of stories, and it's really become an epidemic, not just in our county, but across the nation. I would love to start discussions on, how we can help protect our students, really by informing them of the dangers. I just feel like a lot of times the students just aren't aware of what they're doing, and if we could help them to make the decision not to choose that, I think that would be beneficial. And so anyway, I just, I appreciate that presentation and would love to just begin that discussion as a board.
And you provided us with a lot of information. First question I want to ask you is, how many PBIS schools do we have right now participating in PBIS?
We have 31 at this time.
Very good, very good. The number is growing, and that's really good. And my last question is, what are we doing to ensure the surveys are being completed and returned by students, parents, and teachers?
So this past year, we were able to make sure that we send calls. We also sent email messages. But like I said, this was our baseline year to see where we were. So, of course, we're setting up systematic processes along with our Learning and Performance Division to make sure that we are adequately addressing that as a district, along with our leadership, just a collaborative effort.
And really are bringing to the board's attention our realization that our participation from the staff and family components of the survey requires our attention and our improvement. We have seen some actual strategies to improve the campaign around participating. If it's okay with the board, I'd like to ask Ms. Morse, our Chief Learning and Performance Officer, to address our plans for this year to bring even greater attention to the opportunity for perceptions to be shared.
Sure. I just wanted to share that we are going to start in late October and into November with a campaign to get all of our teachers, parents, and students to take it seriously and to participate. We're going to give principals lots of ideas about how we can get more parents involved and teachers involved, particularly our parents at our parents' evenings, and making it easy to log in, and do a whole campaign where we look to make sure that we get 100% or close to 100% of participation, because we need those voices, particularly from our parents and our teachers and our students, to be guiding the work that we're doing. So we really are going to have a deliberate effort to try not to finish out these surveys on the tail end of the window, but really do it at the beginning of the window so that we can get as much feedback as possible.
I think that we, again, just have a huge responsibility in front of us. It is our job to ensure that we are taking care of the whole child and not just concerned about their academic performance. And I think the board has made it clear that that is our commitment. And so it's time that we really look at ways that we can have not only 100% participation, but 100% of our students and faculty and families saying that they feel safe at school. That is imperative, that these kids feel safe every day when they come to us, and they feel supported, and that they know that the expectations are high, but they'll be supported in achieving those. So thank you so much for all of your hard work on that, and I look forward to higher numbers next year.
I do have one question about on the safety. Is there any, like, as a board member, it just seems, I know that you can always do more, and I know that number it will never be 100%, but it seems like it feels like the board does a lot of safety precautions. Like, I guess my question is, do y'all have any, because you guys are the ones that have been in the schools or in the schools, I mean, is there any feedback? I mean, is it from what they're seeing on social media that doesn't have anything to do with our school, or is it something that they feel in our school?
The question this past year was, I have felt safe in the last 30 days, or I have felt unsafe in the last 30 days, and which is a little bit of a different way of asking the question. So you never know what might have taken place in that window of time. And also keep in mind the kids participated in the survey before we did a single point of entry at the high school. And so there was a lot of in and out of all of our facilities, especially our secondary facilities, prior to the start of this year. So I think there are some campus adjustments and some counseling adjustments for our high schools in particular heading into this year that should address concerns of safety.
Of course, Dr. April Madden, our Chief Officer for Family and Student Support Services, was the one who was able to deliver all this key information to our board. And the central theme for all of this was about connectedness and connectedness to students. And I believe our goal for our district is...
That's right. If you haven't heard, we're on this ambitious pursuit. To be the fastest improving and highest achieving district in the Metro Atlanta region, but being known for our connectivity to kids, our connectivity to families, our connectivity to one another as employees, and our belief in the capability of every child. And we're not just saying those words as a part of a goal. We're actually aligning metrics, daily interactions, and some curriculum programs around that. It's kind of an exciting time and something that is unifying our entire community.
Without a doubt, there's a lot of excitement. That's the buzzword that goes around. You'll see it, in classrooms you walk into, in buildings you walk into, and of course you can see it at our board meetings. And to get our students to where we need them to be, we have to have outstanding teachers to get them, and outstanding staff members, educators in general, all across our district. And our Chief Human Resources Officer, Ms. Valerie Sue Smith, was able to deliver some key information about who all makes up Henry County Schools, from the person who's driving the bus and the first interaction that students have each and every morning at the end of every day, to the teachers, to the clerks, to the leaders in the buildings. all vital pieces of this important puzzle to make sure that the education system works for our students, because that's who we're here to serve. So, some of the information she gave was really eye-opening as far as how many teachers we've served, the degrees and the backgrounds that a lot of these people come with. So
that's right. So for those who work in our great district, the role that our employees play in the quality of the educational experience that our children have each and every day. And for that, we are beyond thankful. And for the families and community members that rely on our schools, we know your confidence and your trust is placed squarely on our shoulders, and we take that very seriously. The opportunity to have conversation with the board, not only about the current picture of our employment, but also the future strategy for the future needs of employment in public education, was a key component to this conversation, considering the entire employee life cycle from recruitment to retirement and everything in between, because we know that the approach to serving our employees in an organization is our approach to serving the community through schools. And so I would highly recommend you tune into our board presentation. In the meantime, let's listen to some of the remarks of our Board of Education.
We need to make sure that we pay attention to all phases of the employment life cycle. That is going to be mission critical. We also need to look at creating meaningful and rewarding career pathways for all job families. Here you have before you the life cycle of a Henry County Schools employee, where we take you from beginning to end, and hopefully we retire you, and you've been here a long time with us and have taken advantage of all the benefits there are. And that's the work that we have ahead of us, in making sure that we have impactful programs that make folks want to stay with Henry County Schools. Because if we are successful with each stage of the employee life cycle, guess what? We'll be successful with each phase of the student life cycle.
Because I say it every single time that we're voting on the budget, that I'm excited about is that total rewards package.
We will clearly have that ready for next year, but what I'd like to be able to do is start rolling it out maybe in January in pieces of it. What we're doing now is trying to investigate. We talked to new hires. What's important to you? What was missing? What did you need to know? Total compensation package is high on the list.
I remember after 23 years of being on this board, there were times that all of our teachers were going to Clayton County because that was the place to be. And now it's interesting to see how they're coming back home. They're coming to Henry County, because even though we might run this as a business, as it is a business with over 6,000 employees, that this is a home feeling. We care about our, I don't like to say employees because they're our family. And even though they're here and they're all doing 85 different jobs, they're still part of what makes us grow from day to day.
I just appreciate you and your staff so much, and the job that you all do is so crucial, because we could not do what we do without our staff. And I'm so thankful for the ways that you are able to show, appreciation to the staff, and how you're just so creative at, recruiting and retaining, and I was just completely impressed. So thank you to you and your team.
I think it's a wonderful idea to create the talent development program, because it's going to play a major role in maintaining our employees, keeping them here and keeping them working, and keeping an environment that they would like to work in, be a part of. Thanks.
All of our core beliefs and commitments and plan of action and strategic priorities mean nothing without our employees, because they're the ones that are doing the work day in and day out. So thank you so much, and I truly hope that retention rate continues to grow. That 95% is amazing. Mm-hmm. That is so good to hear. So I hope that continues to grow, and that this is where everyone wants to be.
The next topic that the board discussed was a policy Bcba, and that pertains to setting a date, place, and time for the next board meetings for the upcoming calendar year, so that'd be the year 2020. And this is a process that they undergo every year. Right now, it's just out for proposal. It will be available on our website for people to find and then provide comment on if they have any feedback regarding this proposed calendar. But the board is slated to take action on this at next month's meeting. So in October, they hope to finalize the meeting schedules for the following year. Other items that we touched on during the meeting there towards the end, just business items that would then be eligible for consent agenda later on. One was a bid tabulation for the final multi-purpose gym, this time at Eagles Landing High School. We're excited to, kind of round out that eSPLOS project with this particular one. We also had a 5-year facilities plan that is required by the state. And Josh Malcolm, our Chief Operations Officer, was able to update the board on this required procedure or this required plan. And several of our board members had some good questions and some good commentary about this presentation.
Yes, so the final item I have for you guys tonight is the resolution for the new 5-year local facilities plan. We've come to a point where it's time to update our 5-year plan with the Georgia Department of Education. This resolution requests assistance from the Georgia Department of Education updating the plan in order to receive state funding for capital outlay projects.
This is the plan that we worked on with Henry County Middle School. Was this what we did?
Part of it,
when we
yes.
looked at the middle school?
So when we did our last 5-year plan, we knew that we were going to be potentially replacing Henry County Middle School. So that was a part of the plan, and based on FTE projections versus available classroom space at the middle school level, we qualified for state money for McDonough Middle School. It was almost half of what it was over $10 million that we received from the state for McDonough Middle School.
I just want to ask him, so of course the state, when we receive these funds, the state makes the determination of how much we will receive.
They do. And it's a formula. It's a formula for renovations. It's a formula for roofs, HVAC, things like that. It's really how old that system is before we can get to it. Because we did a lot of renovations this time and we didn't get state money because the facilities weren't 20 years old.
Right.
We start accruing those renovation dollars at 10 years, but we can't get to them till 20. So we'll look at that again when we get into, if we do any renovations next time, and that's where it starts. Then we can get to it. Otherwise, it just accrues. So if we don't do it next time at a school we're doing a renovation at, when we do it again, it will have accrued and we can get the money at that point for those renovations.
Now, JD, honestly, the resolution that the board signed is really a key function to securing state funding for future capital outlay projects, but it in no way predetermines what those projects will be. That'll be work we do through our strategic plan and, of course, visioning work on the horizon.
Exactly. We also had the opportunity to talk about a new phone system, another communication tool for you guys to stay in touch with us, and we want to hear from you, and we look forward to upgrading our phone system here at the district office, as has already been started out in some of our schools as well. So we want to keep that in mind, but it is one more feature and one more commitment that we have to you to make sure that you have the best ways possible to stay in contact with us here at the district office. Of course, the last thing we had was just another facilities use plan that was requested by a community member, but then we just moved right on in later on that evening into the business session. Always a highlight to see our students come out and provide that inspiration to kick things off. And we had it this time from Stockbridge Middle School.
That's right. Stockbridge Middle School, talented group of students, inspired us to kick off our business meeting and allows us the opportunity to focus on just what it is that is most meaningful in our work, and that is our students. And actually, we had a tremendous crowd because it was the opportunity to celebrate our fine arts educators and our students who have prepared visual arts for us to enjoy at the district office on display. So it was a nice reception and a nice celebration of the fine arts and the recognition of the role fine arts plays in each of our own K-12 education experiences.
Of course, we talked about a lot of the information that was shared during the study session translating over into the business session, but one of the big highlights that takes place during the business session are our awards and recognitions.
That's right.
And we had the opportunity, as you mentioned, to recognize the superintendent's art gallery, your art gallery, that many of these students, these elementary students accomplishments this month contributed to, but there were two other very important recognitions, and one of those was a community partnership that exists between our first responders, our EMAs, our school resource officers, and you got the chance to publicly thank them
That's
in
right.
front of the meeting.
In recognition of National Emergency Preparedness Month, the school system and the Board of Education here in Henry County saw fit to acknowledge the deep and coordinated partnerships with the Henry County Emergency Management officials and the Sheriff's Department. It is a reflection of how the Henry County government and the Henry County Board of Education are working daily around the clock for the purpose of serving today's youth and keeping our community safe and secure. It is a proud partnership that we have with Mr. Don Ash and Captain Josh Duke as reflections of those organizations, and for the confidence of our community that each and every day we work tirelessly to keep our students, our employees, and our families in our schools safe and be prepared for anything that would be upon us.
The last recognition that we had this, during the meeting was a teacher at Hickory Flat Elementary who was recognized for her efforts in saving a student who was actually choking during the second day of school. Ms. Fleming at Hickory Flat Elementary jumped into quick action and was able to perform a Heimlich maneuver to ultimately save this child from a very distressful situation. We're appreciative of her efforts. We're appreciative of efforts like that take place to impact children in a positive way, in a life-saving way, all over our district each and every day that we're here in school. Of course, all of our items were approved unanimously on our consent agenda, which also included new personnel members. We've got some new team members, right?
That's right. I do love this time of the evening when we can celebrate and welcome new team members to our team. First, let me start with the appointment of our CEO at our College and Career Academy, the Academy for Advanced Studies. Dr. Blackwell will be joining us to serve in that role, and we look forward to him joining the organization. We also had the opportunity to appoint our senior directors for school leadership and support. And in these roles, we welcome Dr. Matt Eisenberg, from Union Grove Middle School. We welcome Cynthia Jewell from Stockbridge Elementary School. And we also have appointed Carla Austin and Caitlin Sims. Welcome to the team, and we are ready for your impact. And the last recognition I would like to congratulate is our appointment as the Executive Director of Legal Compliance, and that is Erica Harrison-Arnold. Welcome to the team.
Well, after all that, a lot of great news to share, a lot of great progress that our board is making each and every month towards, just making our school system the fastest improving and highest achieving district in the metro area. We appreciate you tuning in to find out all that they do, because that connectivity to them and to their work makes our school system a better place for everyone. And so thank you once again for joining us here in the month of September. J.D. Harden, Mary Elizabeth Davis, we'll see you next time. As is the case with most board meetings, there's a lot more information that you're able to witness being there in person or watching the full version on demand that we're unable to bring to you here in this very short board meeting recap. The links to those presentations and videos can be found in the description section directly below this video.